Have you ever stopped to wonder why being smart can sometimes feel more like a burden than a blessing? Why is it that some of the most intelligent people often find themselves isolated, while those with average minds seem to thrive in social circles? Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher known for his blunt honesty, unraveled this mystery almost 200 years ago. He believed that intelligence acts as a mirror, reflecting the limitations of others. And let's face it, people don't take kindly to seeing parts of themselves they'd rather ignore. Some might dismiss this as a fluke, assuming brilliant minds are just socially awkward or unlucky. But Schopenhauer saw it differently. He recognized a deeper truth, a recurring pattern that transcends societies and generations. Schopenhauer noticed something fascinating. An intelligent person doesn't need to say a word to make others uneasy. Their very presence acts like a mirror, reflecting back the limits of those around them. And let's be honest, no one enjoys seeing what they'd rather avoid. Think about it. We celebrate all sorts of superiority. Wealth, people admire the rich. Good looks, they're practically worshipped. Even physical strength gets applause. But intelligence? That's a whole different story. It sparks a unique kind of resentment, a quiet hostility that most won't even admit to themselves. So, how did Schopenhauer uncover this uncomfortable truth about human nature? And why does it matter so much today? Born in Germany in 1788, Schopenhauer wasn't just a philosopher spinning theories from the comfort of an ivory tower. He lived the very dynamics he wrote about. As a young lecturer, he boldly scheduled his university classes at the same time as Hegel, a famous philosopher he considered a fraud. The result? Hegel's lectures were packed, while Schopenhauer's were empty. But instead of growing bitter, he became curious. Why did people gravitate toward comforting nonsense and shy away from harder truths? He began observing how intelligence influenced human behavior, not just in academia but in every corner of life. Schopenhauer noticed a pattern that repeated itself time and again. The smarter someone was, the more others found subtle ways to push them aside. Not because they were rude or arrogant, but because their intelligence alone made others feel smaller. Living modestly off his inheritance, Schopenhauer had the freedom to observe society without worrying about earning its approval. He studied how people formed groups, who they welcomed and who they quietly excluded. What he saw wasn't flattering, but it was undeniably consistent. Fast forward to today, and modern science has started to back up what Schopenhauer realized through sheer observation. Social psychology offers fascinating insights into why intelligent people often face rejection. Brain imaging studies reveal something surprising. Feeling intellectually inferior triggers the same neural pathways as physical pain. When people say intelligence hurts their ego, it's not just a metaphor, it's a literal response in the brain. A 2021 study found that encountering someone significantly smarter than us activates the brain's threat detection systems. The amygdala, our internal alarm, lights up, reacting as if we've encountered a physical threat. This instinctive, hardwired response explains why the reaction feels so raw and automatic. Researchers at Stanford discovered something even more intriguing. This response is amplified in group settings. When someone is alone with a more intelligent person, the threat response is minimal, but add more people to the mix, and suddenly the threat response skyrockets. It's almost like our brains are more concerned with protecting our social status than our private self-image. But this instinctual reaction doesn't tell the whole story. Schopenhauer's insights into how we consciously process this unconscious response reveals something much deeper. People don't just randomly dislike intelligence. It taps into something fundamental in human psychology, something many of us don't even realize. When someone smarter enters the conversation, everyone else unconsciously compares themselves, not because they want to, but because they simply can't avoid it. It's like tossing a professional athlete into a casual pickup game. Suddenly, everyone feels their limitations. Schopenhauer noticed how people react to this feeling. Instead of saying, "Wow, this person makes me feel dumb," they assume the intelligent person is looking down on them, even if the person hasn't uttered a word. Just by being there, the smart person makes others feel judged. And here's the truly fascinating part. The smarter someone is, the less likely they are to judge others. But it doesn't matter. People react to the mirror intelligence holds up, not to any judgment the person might express. That's why you often hear things like, "They think they're so smart," even when the person has never said a thing about being smart. But why do we react this way to intelligence when other types of superiority don't bother us nearly as much? Schopenhauer noticed something pretty interesting about how intelligence affects men and women differently. Both face rejection, but the dynamics are unique. For intelligent men, the rejection often comes as direct confrontation or subtle exclusion. But for intelligent women, Schopenhauer observed something even more complex. They face a double bind. Not only are they rejected for their intelligence, but they're also punished for breaking the social mold of how women are supposed to present themselves. Society often forces intelligent women to pick between being liked and being respected. While beauty is celebrated in women, intelligence often gets a different reaction. An intelligent, beautiful woman can face more isolation than if she had either quality alone. Beauty might attract attention, but intelligence can push it away. And modern research backs this up. Studies show that intelligent women often feel the need to downplay their abilities in social settings, something their male counterparts don't feel as pressured to do. They face what psychologists call the competence-likability trade-off. The more competent they appear, the less likable they're rated by both men and women. It's funny, isn't it? The most popular person in a group rarely seems to be the smartest. Schopenhauer nailed why mediocrity feels so comforting. It's like a cozy blanket that whispers, "Hey, don't worry, you're fine just the way you are." Average minds hold a unique social power. They don't challenge anyone's self-image. They don't make others question themselves. Instead, they make everyone feel good about their own level of thinking. Think about most conversations at social gatherings. They revolve around simple topics, easy jokes, and basic observations. Keeping things surface level keeps everyone at ease. But the moment someone throws out a more complex idea, you can almost feel the room tighten up. Schopenhauer saw this dynamic across the board. Mediocre artists got more exhibitions than the truly brilliant ones. Average writers sold more books than profound ones. Not because people couldn't tell the difference, but because mediocrity doesn't make anyone feel inadequate. This pattern still holds true today, and in fact might be stronger than ever. Look around at your workplace or scroll through social media. Schopenhauer's insights are everywhere, just dressed up in modern forms. That brilliant colleague who gets left off lunch invites, the deep posts that get ignored while memes go viral. It's the same pattern Schopenhauer spotted 200 years ago. In today's workplaces, we've dressed it up with fancy terms. We talk about being a culture fit or having emotional intelligence. These things matter, sure, but how often does not a culture fit really mean makes others feel intellectually uneasy? Even in tech companies that claim to value smarts, you'll notice the most successful people aren't always the brightest. They're the ones who make others feel smart. And social media, it's made this dynamic even clearer. Complex ideas get ignored, while oversimplified hot takes go viral. Why? Because depth forces people to think, and thinking, let's be honest, makes people uncomfortable. It's way easier to share a simple opinion everyone can agree on than a complex truth that challenges their worldview. We see this same thing in education. Schools claim to value intelligence, but pay attention to what actually gets rewarded. It's usually not the most original thinkers, but the ones who can simplify ideas enough to make everyone feel included. Now here's the real kicker about how society treats intelligence. We need it badly, but we actively push back against it. Schopenhauer called this the ultimate social paradox. Every society hails its geniuses once they're gone. Newton, Einstein, Marie Curie. We put them on pedestals after the fact, but when they were alive, Newton struggled with loneliness. Einstein was mocked by his teachers, and Curie faced rejection from the scientific community. This paradox is everywhere you look. Companies say they want innovative thinkers, but shut down ideas that challenge the norm. Universities claim they're searching for brilliance, but they reward conformity over creativity. Society talks about needing progress, but ends up fighting the very people who push it forward. Schopenhauer nailed it when he pointed out that intelligence is the only form of power that can't be controlled or predicted. You can manage wealth, regulate physical strength, and even control beauty standards, but you can't predict what a truly intelligent person might think or discover next. But here's the thing. Recognizing this pattern doesn't mean you're doomed to live in social isolation. Schopenhauer wasn't just highlighting the issue, he was offering us a roadmap. Once you understand why intelligence stirs social friction, you can navigate it with more grace. First off, realize that being intelligent isn't the problem. The reactions you face aren't personal, it's just the way social dynamics work. Knowing this can lift a huge weight off your shoulders. Second, learn to read the room. There's a time and place for deep ideas. Save your more complex thoughts for people who will appreciate them. This isn't about dimming your light, it's about choosing when to shine brightest. And third, find your tribe. Schopenhauer saw that truly intelligent people often form small, tight-knit groups. Today, thanks to the internet, it's easier than ever to connect with people who get you. You don't need the whole world to understand you, just enough people who truly do. Some of history's brightest minds figured out how to bridge the gap between intelligence and social acceptance, and their strategies are worth learning. Take Richard Feynman, for example. The legendary physicist didn't just become famous for his brilliance, he became famous for making complex ideas feel accessible. He used simple language and relatable examples, making his intelligence something people could engage with instead of feel threatened by. Then there's Ada Lovelace, often called the first computer programmer, who created social laboratories, gatherings where sharp minds could exchange ideas freely while making sure others felt welcome to join in and learn. She showed that intelligence doesn't have to be isolating if you foster the right environment. Even Benjamin Franklin, despite his towering intellect, consciously presented himself as a lifelong learner rather than an expert. He'd often phrase his ideas as questions or suggestions, turning his intelligence into a shared journey, not a superiority contest. Being intelligent doesn't mean you're destined for loneliness. Schopenhauer wasn't trying to make us feel hopeless. He was simply giving us a clear picture of reality so we could deal with it more effectively. Think about history's greatest minds. Darwin spent years isolated, developing his ideas. Einstein worked in a patent office far from academia, and Marie Curie faced constant opposition. Yet, all of them found ways to make a lasting impact, and, more importantly, to find fulfillment in the process. The key isn't about hiding your intelligence or pretending to be something you're not. It's about understanding the social dynamics at play and working with them, not against them. Sometimes that means stepping back, other times it's about finding the right audience, but always it's about staying true to who you are while being smart about how you engage with others. Remember, just because society often resists intelligence doesn't mean it doesn't need it. Every major leap in human history came from someone who thought differently, saw deeper, and dared to be smarter than the average person. That's never going to change. Next time you feel that social pushback against your intelligence, remember what Schopenhauer taught us. You're not doing anything wrong, you're just holding up a mirror. How others react to their reflection, that's on them, not you. If this video resonated with you, drop a comment below and share your own experiences. How have you handled the social challenges of being intelligent? And if you want more insights from history's greatest minds, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started.